It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Gosh, I agree with you.
This weekend, the Thursday, Friday,
goodness.
especially the Thursday, Friday. Saturday and Sunday are still cool.
Yes.
The first full 4-day week is awesome. It's the best.
Well, and we're lucky because we kind of have hours where we can watch the first games.
Well, I get a vasectomy every year just so I can stay home. So every year I get for that reason. And the Thursday, Friday, if you can just get a couple games that are going in the direction of looking like an upset, because you got like True TV, you got the little things up in the corner.
It's everywhere.
There have been years where it's sucked and there are no upsets anywhere, and those mild fun. But I mean, if you just get a couple, it's so awesome because you can just flip around. And thankfully, YouTube TV, they settled their little deal with Paramount. You guys YouTube TVers?
Heck yeah.
You guys are.
I love it.
Aside from basketball, isn't it the greatest?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
And this is not a commercial?
No. But if you're a sports fan,
you deciding if you're getting paid right now or what?
No, I'm just like,
he was
hey,
like, he was really thinking about it here.
No, I was thinking if YouTube TV wants to,
Yeah.
what's up, guys? Anyways, if you're a sports fan, it's the best.
Casey, your thoughts on YouTube TV?
I love it. I mean, for NFL Sunday Ticket, the 4 games,
yes.
but yes, March Madness is the best, especially
Good point.
when you
Sunday
see
Ticket, because they moved over there.
Yeah.
And I haven't got to experience it March Madness yet because you get to do the 4 screens generally, but oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a boner for like a basketball boner.
All
It's
weekend?
different.
No.
Yeah, it's
It is
different.
different.
It is different. Yeah.
My father-in-law listens to this, and so I pulled back right when I was about to say that joke, and then I want to tell you what happened in my head right there. This is all happening within about 0.3 seconds. I was gonna say, man, I get such a boner watching college basketball. Can you imagine 4 games at once? That's like call your doctor if it's up for 4 hours. And I was just going to make that analogy. Then at the same time, I thought, I know my father-in-law listens to a lot of this, so maybe I don't want to make a boner reference. But then I thought, I don't want to not be me. And he wouldn't want me to not be me.
Correct.
Even though he probably was like, do you need to make the boner reference? All that was 0.3 in my head. And I still said it, but it was like this. And I had a boner for it.
What I've learned is because like my mother-in-law listens too. And
Oh,
like,
really?
Yes. And I've done the same thing where I'm like, ooh, should I say that? My mother-in-law's listening. But what I've learned is they're cool, man. Because they love us for who we are. And my mother-in-law never mentions things wherever I talk about her or anything like that. But I know she knows it. So I think she's okay with it. She doesn't act any different. She still loves me and she still listens.
Yeah, I don't question if he loves me any less until now. Great. My wife doesn't listen to anything, and that's not her being not supportive. That's her when I get home going, bro, I'm with you for 9 hours.
Correct.
Why do I want to hear you do the same crap you do here at home? Then, and I'm like, I get it.
It is different you though. Like it's a different you when you get home than
It's worse though.
got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
And also, she doesn't really care about sports like this.
Yeah.
But it does, and he may not hear this. I'm sure he can't listen to everything because I now have 47 podcasts, which is way too many. But he'll message me and say, "Hey, I heard you talking to whomever is listening to this song." Like, I rarely can feel a compliment and genuinely feel it, and it makes me feel good. But he was listening to me maybe with Matt Jenkins. We just did. He was
Great episode. Great
yeah,
episode.
and he said, "Oh, Casey too. I got another call." I
Yeah,
feel a warm heart. But he literally texted me. He was like, I was listening to your Matt Jenkins thing, and he wasn't saying it like, "Hey, I'm listening to you talk to Matt Jenkins. Look at me. I'm listening to you." He just sent a reference about it, and like I was deeply complimented, and I don't really know that feeling of support because my life I didn't have.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like I was unsupported because there weren't people pushing against me, but I just didn't have that, and so that's weird. That even me having a boner conversation triggers all the memory of like how like touched I I know.
Boy,
How touched
you can't win here.
how touched I get when that happens.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he'll hear this. And I hope to God he doesn't now at this point. I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't. But we are here. It's basketball. It's the greatest.
It's the best.
Just pick a team to win it all.
Oh man.
Because we're not gonna break down. I get bored when people go down
Sure.
everything. Let's just pick one team to. Do you guys want to all put $5 in?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, let's
Heck
do it.
Yeah.
So, Mike, do you want in or no?
I'll go in.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't need your money right now, Reed. but we'll just all do it. Reed's
He's got the
pulling
wallet out.
Reed's dumping change on the table.
So if we have multiple picks,
You get one pick to win it all.
right? But if like multiple people pick the same team,
You'll split the money.
okay,
So, but everybody have your answer written down so you cannot change it.
I got it.
Yep.
And if you want to do more than 5, you can. We can do 10. But
And that's 2 teams.
no, it's one team. But it'd be worth a little more in case we split.
Let's do $10.
I have learned. My wife will say sometimes, "Hey, you can't use other people's money." If like we go to dinner and I'm like, "I want to do all this appetizer," and I plan to pay for everything, but then some people are like, "We don't want you to pay for everything all the time." And she's like, "You have to consider that people get tired. People don't like it when you pay for their meal all the time."
Well, that's not true.
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
I'm not saying like
who's
it.
that?
They feel like they're burdening you.
Yes.
And I'm
yes.
like, I enjoy it because one, people paid for my meals my whole life, and now that I have money, I love doing it. So I have to think about other people before I just go, let's knock it to $10. So if you would like to knock it to $10, we can.
I vote $10.
10.
Everybody
$10.
good?
Yeah.
Oh, Reed's crying.
Oh, I'm ready. Baby. Let's go 20. What are you talking about?
Mike, 10 okay?
10 is good.
Okay, so we have $60 total.
Let's go, baby.
Pick your one team. And Kevin,
Duke.
You suck.
you suck, dude. We hate you.
Cooper Flag, baby.
And I can't change mine. Can I change it now?
No changing it. I should have pulled out all the low seeds, and we should have picked somebody like a 8 or below. We may still do that real quick. Okay.
Okay.
Duke sucks. I hate Duke. They're actually really good, though, is what sucks.
Cooper Flag's nasty.
And they've got 2 nasty freshmen. And Cooper, yeah.
He's so good.
Mike,
Going to Auburn.
It's good, Mike.
Reed,
I'm going to go Florida.
good pick.
Oh,
Good pick. Eddie,
I'm splitting the money with Kevin. I'm going Duke.
Let's go. Blue Devils. With
They're
your
ju-
Arkansas shirt on.
They're just dominating people.
I'm sweeping, man. With Janai Broom in the Auburn.
Oh!
So, Mike,
I was wondering what that meant.
we're gonna be splitting that up.
Good with that.
Okay, how about this?
Okay.
How about this? Pick a team.
Did Casey go?
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
No, I didn't go.
Okay.
I thought he
no.
said Duke, and he's like, Duke's
No,
sick.
no,
I
no.
love Duke. I love
I was
getting
just
naked
saying
with all the
Cooper
Duke
Flag
players.
is sick.
Oh, my bad. I thought that meant you had Duke. Who do you have?
I got to go a little contrarian here. St. John's, baby.
Oh.
Rick Pitino. I like this team.
It's the New York.
Little
that's
Big East
you
New
being
York.
New
Club.
York.
He's like, Rick Pitino. SEC. John. Ricky P. over here.
I'd like to
Ricky
apologize for not going. I thought you picked Duke. I'd like to apologize for
It's
not.
okay.
not
It's all
going
right.
to you.
It's all right.
Okay.
He's such a New Yorker.
Pick a team. We all have to agree to the team being a mid or lower, and whomever's team goes the furthest, we'll do a $5 bet.
Okay.
You guys all good with that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't look at my teams.
So, like, out of the running, Duke, Auburn, Florida, Houston, Bama, Tennessee, Michigan State, St. John's, Iowa State, Kentucky, Texas Tech, Maryland. Those are kind of all out of it.
Ooh, you didn't say the team.
Well, I still might, though, but just looking at the bracket here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Yep.
I'm going to go Texas A&M.
Why? Oh, they play dirt. I like A&M because they cannot shoot. They do not play offense. It's like they don't even want the ball. They just give it back on defense.
That's
But
not true.
god dang, they play hard.
They do play really hard.
They do. I like Texas A&M. They play hard. I like it.
And they have a player with a last name Garcia, so I'm all in.
There you
Oh,
go.
nice.
Kevin?
I'm going to go Arizona.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
I accept it. You guys don't have to accept it, but
No, Arizona's accepted.
and I what sucks is I already eliminated Texas Tech, and that was my boy. I wish I wouldn't have eliminated him. Okay,
Raiders.
Castlin.
go ahead,
I'm
Casey.
going to go with Louisville.
That's good.
That's not how you say it.
Louisville.
Yeah. We're not New York.
If you're gonna be
Louis.
from, yeah.
Louisville. Louisville.
No,
Kind of.
Louisville.
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 Sounds like you guys have some stuck in your
We
mouth.
got to teach him here. Louisville.
Louisville.
Yes. Okay. Read.
Can I go Gonzaga?
I think so. Right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Gonzaga.
I'm just trying to. Yeah. Yeah.
Those Zags?
I think that's fine.
Or Maryland? One of the two?
I think
Well,
that's
pick
fine.
one.
I'm going to go Gonzaga. Gonzaga.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I gotta go SEC just because I've watched them play so much. I'm gonna go Missouri.
I've not seen them play.
I have. Or Michigan. I mean,
Not that confident.
I was gonna pick Michigan too because Arkansas played Michigan and they're good.
Yeah,
and I like
Michigan's
Dusty. I'm gonna go Michigan. I'm gonna go
Nice.
Michigan.
Oh, we're not of the SEC.
I know.
Wow.
Well, but I had to pick a team Arkansas played and we beat them.
That's a good call.
Okay.
And I'm just not picking Arkansas because I don't want to attach anything to that.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody good there?
Solid.
All right,
Yeah.
boom. Hey, Steven, thanks for the time. I have a lot to talk about with you. First of all, I will receive a bit of crap from people. I grew up in Arkansas. I had a 410 at 9 years old, and I was kind of just allowed to hunt, mostly rabbit or squirrel. Like 410 was my first gun, and people were like, "You had a gun at 9 or 10?" And I talk about how it was a tool more than a lot of people see it as a weapon. For you, when did you get your first gun? When could you hunt by yourself?
Oh man, it's funny you bring that up because we used to be like, I remember this one kid in particular that moved. I grew up in West Michigan, and I remember this one kid that moved from like out of town into our area, and I remember his mom just being astounded, like horrified that kids would ride around on bikes with 22s slung over their back, like we just roamed around as little kids hunting, it was all back then. It was just tons of woods around that area. I don't even remember. I hate to say it. Well, they changed the rules now. So it's actually, we would start hunting before you were legally allowed to hunt, which sounds bad, but then the state went and changed the rules. So now it wouldn't be that it was illegal. They moved the ages back, but we just started hunting early. My dad liked it. He wanted us to be out in the woods, and he thought if you were doing that, then that's what you ought to be doing.
Similar where, again, I was born in the 80s, so there weren't as many rules. And again, I'm from a town of 700 people in rural Arkansas. So the rules were just different based on lifestyle, but it was, hey, once you're like 10, get a hunter's ed card. But I was already hunting, so hunter's ed was easy. So I got my card, but that was like the stamp of you're now able to say you're hunting because you have your hunter's ed card. And then it became a license type thing. I don't even know what the law is. Like what is the law to actually have a gun and hunt now?
Well, man, they keep moving it back. I love it because, again, let's take Michigan. I can speak to a bunch of different states where I've had some exposure, but in Michigan, it would be that you couldn't hunt small game till you're 12. Okay, you could hunt archery deer, so you'd hunt deer with a bow at 12. And you couldn't hunt deer with a rifle till you were 14. Now they've gotten rid of all that stuff. Now it's up to the parent, which is what it should be. The state where I live in Montana, and in Montana, a kid has to be 10 to do, to legally hunt, right? But I also take my kids to my buddy's place to hunt turkeys in the spring in Wisconsin, and there it's up to the parent. But it's that they have to be mentored, so they have to be with a licensed hunter of a certain age, right, who's within arm's reach of them, which and then they can start on their own a little bit earlier. So it's a really nice thing that's happened over the years. Like you tend to think of everything getting more restrictive and, less freedoms. But in this case, most states have really done a good job of allowing kids earlier entry into the sport as long as they're being mentored, which I think is great. Like you can hunt 2 years in Montana with a mentor before you have to take hunter safety. So it really helps you get your kids out early. I get my kids hunting early, man. I don't want it. It'll never be like surprising to them. They just grew up around it, right? That's how I like to do it.
Steven, yeah, you bring up a good point about the kids kind of like going out early. What I experienced with my kids was, them seeing an animal die for the first time and how they receive that, very differently. Some kids are like, wow, okay, cool. We got a bird. Some are like, that bird just died. How do you do that with your kids? How did that happen with your kids?
We again, I did with them what happened with me, which is I just took them out early. They've always been around it. I'll tell people like, I could take something, anything I take, if I take something in my hands, if we're out in the woods and I take something in my hands and I tell my kid, I said, hey, check this out, hold your hand out. They're going to like put their hand out and take what I hand them. Like you can't startle them. They're not, you can't startle them because I've always exposed them to stuff. They're very comfortable in the outdoors and they have a lot of trust in me. And if I tell them something's cool, They know it's cool. If I say we ought to be nervous right now, you know, about grizzlies or whatever, they know we ought to be nervous right now. If I'd say that there's nothing to worry about, they trust me that there's nothing to worry about. And that comes from having them out at a young age and showing and demonstrating to them like a level of competency in the outdoors, you know? So I don't mean to like, I don't want to, I usually find that the people that are most critical about their kids have the best kids. Like the people that complain the most about their kids have the best kids. And I could complain about my kids all day long. And if you want me to, I'll do that for an hour. But there's certain things that are cool about them. And one of the things is that they're really comfortable around hunting. They're very comfortable around life and death. As my buddy says, life and death on the farm, you know, and they know, they know about life and they know about death.
You bring up a grizzly as an example, but one charged you, right, in Alaska. Can you? And I've heard the story, but can you tell the listeners that are listening now a bit of that story?
Yeah, I've had a couple. I've had a couple grizzly charges. I've never been. Maybe I got touched by one, but I don't really know. And I think the one you're talking about is I was hunting on a Fognac Island, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners have heard of Kodiak Island. There's just in Alaska. There's a very narrow strait that separates Kodiak and a Fognac. And we were hunting on a Fognac Island, and I had gotten an elk a couple days earlier, and we hung half the elk up in a big spruce tree. And we went back to fetch it, just kind of stupidly. I don't really know why. I felt that nothing had found the elk yet. And so we sat to eat lunch under the tree, me and my buddies that I was with. And while we were there, a bear came in hard. My one buddy, he had his pistol and a pepper spray sitting on each side of him. But when that bear came in, it happened so fast, he smoked it across the face with a pair of trekking poles. I twisted my ankle up bad. I don't know. I feel like his foot landed on my ankle, but I'm not totally positive. But what's crazy is my buddy Dirt got knocked over by the bear. And I'm not kidding you, man. Dirt rode the bear straight downhill for about 15 yards. I mean, he rode on the bear. I thought the bear had him. I thought it was holding him. And so we all ran down the hill, but Dirt came squirting back up out of the alders, running back the other way. And it kind of messed with me a little bit psychologically for a while, to be honest with you. It was so close. It was so close.
I had a show on Nat Geo for a while, and we went up. We flew into Bozeman, then we drove into the park, and probably 2 or 3 hours out of Bozeman. And we were traveling around with sheep herders because the predators come in at night and try to eat the sheep. And so so that's what we were doing. We were with them. I was kind of learning about what their job was and how they'd be out for months at a time. But, you know, they had equipped me with things in case, and we did end up seeing a bear. It was far. It was with night vision, so we knew where not to go. But they gave me bear spray. And we didn't have grizzlies in Arkansas. We had black bears, and we didn't have grizzlies. So they said, okay, if a bear attacks you, here's the bear spray. Shoot it at the ground, and then the bear will come through the ground and stop. It felt to me like when I was 11 and they said spray cologne in the air and walk through it, I felt like there was no way that this bear spray shooting into the ground was going to stop a bear. So if you were me and a bear was attacking, would you have sprayed the spray at all, or would you just go full gun? Like, what do you know about bear spray?
Well, I think what they're meaning. Well, what I know about bear spray is I've been in 2 instances where people have gotten hosed by spray, me and another person, but I haven't hosed a bear yet. I've shot in front of bears, shot in front of them to try to spook them. But I think what they're getting at is aim low with spray. You want to get till that bear's like 20 yards. If he's coming and he gets to 20 yards, what they're saying is hose down in front of him. So that you're not blowing it back over the top of him, but you're blowing it. I would think you're aiming, if he's coming, you're aiming down at his feet, If
he's coming, I'm running and peeing everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're putting out a cloud of that stuff, right? And man, I know, so I interviewed a girl one time that was getting mauled by a grizzly, and she had her spray on her chest. She was a grizzly bear researcher. she had her spray on her chest, and the bear got her down, and it actually got one of its canines and popped through her skull. But she had her spray on her chest, and was, without even being able to see the bear, was able to take that spray on her chest and shoot it like over her own shoulder and got it in the face, and it dropped her. I interviewed another dude that last year, he got mauled. All he managed to do was get his spray out before the bear hit him, and the bear was mauling him, and he was trying to cover. So he had to spray. There's like a ring on your spray. It looks like a trigger guard. It's like a little handle, and he had his spray like hanging from that ring. Like, here's people that are watching, like I'm holding a suppressor, but picture that it had a ring on it. So he's holding the canister like this, and he goes to protect. They always tell you to protect the back of your neck with your hands if you're getting mauled. And he goes to protect the back of his neck, but he's got that spray on there like a ring. And that bear bit through the spray and hosed itself by biting the spray, and got a mouthful of that and dropped him and ran off. And what's hilarious, dude, is my kids lost one of my sprays last summer. And later, me and my wife find the spray laying out at this place where we camp. We find where they dropped the spray, and the spray is erupted, and it's got 4 big bite marks in it, like a bear found that and bit it. Because there's something about the smell of it that in small doses is attractive to him. I'll never get it, man. But it bit that sucker, so he must have got a face full. He must have got a face full of that junk, man.
My fear was, because they'll be in like action movies where they have like the rocket launcher, and the person that doesn't know how to use it holds it up, and they end up shooting backward. That happens a lot. Yeah. My fear was, if a bear's coming at me, and I end up spraying myself because of the can. Luckily, never had to use it. But they also said, like, don't shoot a bear because you will get in trouble if you shoot a bear unless you can actually prove you're being attacked or threatened. And I thought, if there's a bear anywhere near me, like, something's getting shot, me or it, like something's getting shot. But that was their big lesson. Was the reason we say this is because we can't have people shooting bears.
Well, they do investigate it, but I mean, every year, is that true? Yeah. Every year, like in the state I live in, we got 1,000 grizzly bears, right? In this area, I mean, we could argue all day about the exact numbers, but we got grizzly bears. We have 10 times as many black bears, which never kill anybody in Montana. But every year, grizzlies dust off 1 or 2 people in Montana, and every year, people dust off a handful of grizzlies, and they get killed by a lot of times they get killed by bow hunters who are hunting elk, and they'll investigate it, but oftentimes it's totally legitimate, man. It's like, you get hit or you got one coming at you. But yeah, they'll come out. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service will investigate the incidents. They'll find out if you were jumpy. If it was going away at 40 yards and it was walking away and you shoot it, yeah, you're going to be in trouble because you just got too jumpy.
Yeah,
but if that thing's coming at you and it's 5 yards away, they're not going to blame you. But people got to be cool headed. That's the thing about spray. Like, people argue this in my world. Like, people argue this all day long. Dude, people, like, this ruins friendships, this argument of pistols versus bear spray. But like, it does seem there's a very compelling case to be made that spray is better, especially if you're not like a super experienced marksman with a pistol, because with spray, you don't need to be accurate. You just need to be in the right direction, With
your show hunting,
and the bear lives.
Well, yeah, it also feels to me like, bird shot or buckshot versus a slug or a rifle, right? Like, if you got one shot, for me, I'm not going to be as good of a shot as some of my friends. So I want that spread to be as wide as possible. And that's basically what the bear spray is versus a pistol or rifle.
Yeah. Everybody likes to think there is some commando with their pistol, But
I don't.
Dude.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Hunting history. What's interesting to me is how people hunted before we existed. I grew up in Arkansas where there's a lot of Native American. There are arrowheads just randomly in places. And to me, it was wild at how they would create arrows. Like, to you, because you've spent so much time studying this, documenting this, you've made this into a show. Like, what is the technology that now we look at and go, how in the heck do they do that? But they were able to be effective hunting.
You know, I was having this discussion the other day with a historian who spends a lot of time working on questions around what would it have been like for the first humans to come into the new world, like what would have been like the first people to touch the ground in what is now the United States. And there's this idea that these hunters, these Ice Age hunters, we call them Clovis hunters now or other names, that these Ice Age hunters were able to wipe out mammoths using spears. And you'd say, well, how in the world is that possible? But picture it like this, that like the mammoths had never seen anybody before, you know? So we get accustomed now to wildlife that has a pretty good familiarity with humans. You know, you'll see with all these different species that they have a pretty good sense of what is a safe distance from people. Compare that to accounts that you read of like whalers being the first people to ever step foot on some island, like even in the early 1900s, late 1800s. Like whalers would be the first people to arrive at an island, and look what they describe. They describe you walk up and literally pick up wildlife. Birds land on you. Things exhibit zero fear of people. I'm not detracting from the skill sets of these ancient hunters, but they were in a different set of circumstances dealing with wildlife that had a different sense of what the threat the humans presented, you know? So now if you're bow hunting elk, it might be really challenging to get 40 yards from an elk that's had some hunting pressure put on it, right? But maybe a few hundred years ago, it was pretty easy to get, maybe it was challenging to get 4 or 5 yards away from an elk, right? So the technologies have changed, but so is the human response to animals. It's a real rich field of inquiry, man, and that's just like one element. The other element of it is that if you live in a lot of states now and you're like a big deer hunter, you might only have a 10-day deer season. So you could identify as a deer hunter, and you might read about deer hunting and dream about deer hunting, but when it comes down to it, you deer hunt 10 days. You know, for some people. Now imagine that you deer hunted 200 days a year in the same areas that your father hunted 200 days a year for 40 years, in the same area that your grandfather hunted 2 days a year or 200 days a year for 40 years. Imagine the body of knowledge that you would have accumulated. So like our ideas about hunting and tactical understandings of it are probably just like nothing compared to people that lived a hunter-gatherer lifestyle. And I've been fortunate to travel in South America with, indigenous hunter-gatherers, and I'm telling you, you can't keep up with them mentally. You can't keep up with them.
I was going through and I definitely don't want to spoil anything in the work that you've done, but I've been fascinated with DB Cooper. Like I can envision the drawing that has existed in I can just see it, the drawing of him and what they think he looked like and how he did it and how he jumped out of the plane. Do you think he survived?
You know what? I went in, we did a hunting history episode on DB Cooper. We just focused on that question because a lot of it, like our focus is always on these areas of mysteries that have a wilderness component, that have like a survival component or a hunter-gatherer component. And with DB Cooper, we got into the jump zone. So just for people for a quick recap, in the 1970s, there was this like epidemic of skyjackings. DB Cooper is the only unsolved skyjacking in U.S. history where a guy gets on a plane, takes hostages, demands money, gets the money, jumps out of a plane, never to be seen again. Jumps out in Washington. The FBI identified a drop zone based on all these different inputs, and it was like rugged mountainous terrain, heavily forested. I always, just as a passive, DB Cooper observer reader, I always saw there's no way the guy lived. He jumped out at night. He didn't pack his own chute. I just thought the reason they never found him is he was burrowed into the muck and moss somewhere. And that was it, right? But man, after working on that episode and hanging around with, parachuters that have done like 12,000 jumps, military paratroopers, dude, these people that really know that world, they're like, no, there's no reason to think he wasn't fine. They just like, why? No, landing in a tree don't matter. They're like, he definitely is fine. It really changed my idea. So then it brings up the next question is what happened to him when he hit the ground and what did he do?
Well, they found money too, like parts of dollar bills in the area, but they didn't.
Well, yeah, dude. Yeah, they did.
What are you not saying? What are you trying to not say right now? What do you think?
No. They did. It was the money. Way away from there in the or way away from the FBI's drop zone, a kid was clearing out a place to make a fire on the beach on the Columbia River on a mud bar. He's clearing out a little place to make a fire and finds a stack of rotten $20 bills. This is in the 80s. If you look at the FBI's drop zone, okay, what the FBI determined to be the drop zone, if D.B. Cooper had dropped that money, either in the air, threw it out of the plane, whatever, like landed, lost it, whatever, and you put it into a creek, and there's a lot of rivers and creeks there, and you put it into a creek, it would not have washed to the place where it was deposited in a gravel bar. So either the drop zone is all the way off, either it's way off, and he dropped it or whatever the hell happened, or someone later after the fact went and buried that stuff there. A guy I interview and hang out with in there who is he's like a citizen sleuth type that has really dedicated himself to the D.B. Cooper mystery. He thinks that the FBI's drop zone was off and they were way off, and that D.B. Cooper buried that stuff in the gravel bar. What's funny now, when I went to the spot, when you go to the spot, you're sitting 9 feet below where they found the money. So if you say, like, where'd you find the money? It was 9 feet over your head, because that gravel bar is gone now. The Columbia River ate it. So, dude, it's like, it is such a rabbit hole, man. You can't, dude, if you get into the whole D.B. Cooper thing and you start unraveling all the things, it'll kill you. I mean, it'll kill you because it's too much. It's such a it's like the perfect mystery. It's the gift that keeps giving.
The show Hunting History with Stephen Rinella. It's 8 episodes. He's teaming up with historians and archaeologists and a really cool cast of outdoor professionals. And it's very much storytelling. And I think that's what, having consumed your content in different ways, I think that's what's a bit different about this is it feels to me like this is a new element because there is so much storytelling involved. Yeah,
it is, man. And when we were looking at all these stories, like we did a great one on the Donner Party too.
That's crazy.
Look at all these stories.
The Donner Party is crazy. Will you just give a brief description of that so people know what you're talking about?
Oh, yeah. I was telling this story to my kids last night over dinner. So in 1846, people are familiar with the Oregon Trail, right? Well, in 1846, this big group of families, they all leave Missouri and they're traveling together over the Oregon Trail. And this group of them, these are kind of loose groupings of families, but this group of them, under the leadership of this patriarch, this Donner fellow, they decided to take a thing called Hastings Cutoff, which is supposed to be a shortcut to California. In fact, it's like a long cut. It's worse conditions, and now we understand with, now that you can look at a map, it's actually longer. So it's like a longer, worse route billed as a shortcut. So that when they get they have to cross the Sierra Nevada. Picture this as the mountain range that separates like Nevada from California. Great skiing destination now. They have to cross the Sierra Nevada, and there's early blizzard, there's early snowstorm, and it catches them way up in the mountains. It's early enough in the year they think that maybe it'll melt off and they'll be able to continue on their way. But it just gets worse and worse to the point where eventually they can't even backtrack. They can't go back the way they came, and they get stuck there. What they're really famous for is they're famous for cannibalism. So if you make a joke about the Donner Party today, like Donner family dinner, right? It winds up being it's a cannibalism joke. And they did resort to cannibalism. However, there's like this thing, and I knew all that outline, right? But here's what I never thought about. And I have 3 kids. Over half of the people in the Donner Party were little kids, were children. And children wound up being, of the survivors, over half of the Donner Party survived, and children were far more likely than the adults to survive the ordeal. So you could look at the Donner Party as this American horror story about these people committing this atrocity of cannibalism, or you could look at it like this, which is the conclusion I come away with. You could look at it like this. It was people, family, doing everything possible, and I mean everything possible, to keep their children alive. Very different like ways of looking at something. And when I got done, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna stop making jokes about I'm gonna stop making Donner Party cannibalism jokes, man. It was a harrowing thing, and they get kind of blamed for it, you know. But dude, it was a freak blizzard, and people had successfully crossed the Sierra Nevada, had successfully crossed later in the year than they did. It was just, they were just victims of horrible luck, and something really bad happened to them. They weren't dumb. They weren't desperate. I mean, they got desperate, but they were, you know, it's like this heroic tale that has been just kind of abused over the years, I think.
I'd like to encourage everybody to check it out. Hunting History with Stephen Rinella, and follow Stephen at Stephen Rinella on Instagram. Really appreciate the half hour you spent with us, Stephen. Great stories. Big fan. And again, who the heck was DB Cooper even? I think, dude, I've watched so many documentaries. I've watched TikToks on people's theories, all of it.
I didn't know who you guys were talking about, but I'm all in now.
Do you see the picture of him though? Do you recognize that?
I didn't even look at it.
Oh,
I'm all in though. When we're done with this, I'm all in.
Can I tell you one last funny thing?
Yes, sir.
So after, like, while working on that DB Cooper deal, later I get a message from a guy who sends me some pictures of the FBI guy, the FBI agent who was prepping the people to do the composite drawing. So the picture you're talking about of what he supposedly looks like, it was so funny, is the drawing looks astonishingly similar to the FBI agent. Like, he was the last guy they talked to, and it's almost like they described the last dude they spoke with.
That is weird.
Steve, appreciate you, man. Hope you have a great day.
Yeah,
good luck with the series, and hopefully I'll run into you somewhere, man.
No, I'd like to meet you sometime, man, but I'll let you go now. Take care.
All right, buddy. See you later. Update on the pickleball troll who challenged me. We had a lawyer named Brooks join us to explain some of the stuff on how we can make this happen without me getting scammed out of money, or him even. You're going to hear about some legal stuff. He's a licensed attorney in 3 different states. He's now working part-time because his wife's a surgeon, and he just was like, hey, I can actually help you pull this off. So without saying any more, here he is. The attorney, T-H-E, not mine, never met him. The attorney, Brooks Fry. Okay, so we have Brooks. I won't even say Brooks' last name, just in case.
Oh, nice. I mean, you got it like Brooks the lawyer?
Well, unless Brooks has a legal firm he wants to promote.
Brooks and Brooks?
Yeah, I don't know. Brooks and Associates? Brooks, are you an attorney right now?
I am a licensed attorney.
Okay, and so what?
My last name is. Sorry, I'm gonna talk over you, but my last name is Fry, F-R-Y-E.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
I support Brooks. I don't know what he does, but I support him already because he's on with us. So use Brooks Fry for your needs. Of what do you do? Brooks, what do you do as your specialty?
So I moved to Tennessee about 4 years ago. I did a lot of personal injury and business litigation for a few years. Then that firm, I was working with one other attorney. He decided to move on and go back to doing what you call big law, and went back to IP litigation or intellectual property. And I took a step back. I've got a 6-year-old and another child on the way. And so I've been working remotely from home for the last 6 months or so.
Are you still licensed for, if we needed to use your services, that you could hop in and we wouldn't go to jail?
That's correct. Yes, I still have a license in Tennessee. I've got one in Kentucky and North Carolina as well.
Yeah, I don't even know how to ask the questions. That's why I'm like, I'm confused on how to be asked lawyers questions.
Yeah,
I don't
we
even
got
know
there
okay,
eventually.
Good. So here's the thing. Brooks is an attorney, and we need a legal advice because that dude in Ohio who was like, I'll play you. We'll play for $1,000 in pickleball, but I don't trust that I'm not going to get scammed by sending him the money. So, Brooks, as an attorney, what do you advise us to do so I don't get scammed and he doesn't get scammed with the money?
Well, the main thing, what I would say is you don't necessarily need a lawyer. I do think it's a good idea to have a lawyer to draft the agreement for you. But it's basically just set up an escrow. That way you have a third party to hold the money for you while the competition is pending. And you're going to have a pretty good agreement so that both of you trust the terms of it. Then you have an escrow agent, which could be me or someone else, that would hold the monies be paid into them. So if I think you were saying you wanted to put in $1,000 a piece, then you'd have $2,000 as the payout, which would be held in an account that only the escrow agent would have access to, or attorney. And then once the competition is over, then that person would then have the ultimate authority to decide who to award the $2,000 to.
Now, if you were him, I'll play devil's advocate. If you were him and I said, okay, I've got my attorney, Mr. Brooks Fry, ever heard of him? And he's like, I haven't. I was like, oh, he's the best. And I say, he is holding my 1,000 and he'll hold your 1,000 in an escrow. Would there be a reason that he would go, no, I don't trust that? Or because since you are licensed, you kind of have to do the right thing?
That's right. Yeah. So the upside of being a lawyer, you put yourself out there. So the last thing you want as an attorney is for somebody to be upset. So I would also, if I'm going to draft the agreement, I'd want to make sure that both parties were completely acceptable to the agreement. I wouldn't be representing either of you individually. In fact, we wouldn't even necessarily have a true lawyer-client relationship because, again, I would just be representing the two of you as an escrow agent. The money would just be set up in an account that I would hold. The main thing would be is one that friend have trust. I appreciate you saying I'm a great lawyer, but the truth is we don't know one another. So he has no reason to think that I would favor you over him. But it would be great to put me in touch with him if you want to move forward, and then we can talk. I can talk to him. He can ask any question he wants of me, and we can go forward. I was a prosecutor for 16 years. That's what I did in North Carolina and Kentucky. So I'd like to think that I try to be pretty fair.
If I were to put $1 in your pocket, could I tell you every secret I know?
You could.
Oh, see,
that's cool.
That's what I want to do. I want to have somebody.
Well, that's with some limitation. If other than, like, for example, you can tell me you were going to go commit a criminal act that would harm somebody else, then I'd have to divulge that.
But if I told you that I had committed a criminal act in the past, would you tell on me?
No.
Nice.
I got to get it all out of this guy quick.
He's a good guy.
And so, okay, so now when we draw up the agreement, does it have to be like a 10-page, or can it be like 2 paragraphs? It's like, we agree to play pickleball. These are the rules we're going to play to. This is how we're going to fight about if there's a discrepancy on a point, in or out. Like, can it be like a few paragraphs?
It would. You would have some what you call legalese, which is the sort of boilerplate language that you see in a lot of contracts that you'd want in there just to make sure everything was up to par. But other than that, the meat of it, the substance, yes, it'd just be a few paragraphs, I think. But those are some of the points I would have for you. Is you'd want to make sure that you had rules established. I assume there's some pickleball rules or some association you could follow their rules and adopt them. You'd want to have a referee for the match. That would probably be an interesting thing to talk about.
I pick Eddie. Can I do that? Can I pick my friend to do it?
Does that work?
Sure, as long as he's agreeable.
Oh yeah, it's never going to work then.
Like
yeah, it's never
Just
going to work.
throw it in the contract. Use those big words around it.
Yeah. Surround it with big words. Yeah. So
no, but go ahead.
So we need to, because I can't really establish the rules with him, but what we can do is draw up some generic rules, and then you talk between both of us to establish what we agree upon. Would that be accurate?
Yes, that's what I'd recommend, is that we come up with something. I guess before we start getting into it, let's get some, I don't even know what the guy's name is, but
Troll.
have some communication with him.
Mr. Troll.
Troll Johnson, that's what I call him. Troll Johnson, yeah.
Well, we're starting off on good footing.
Yeah.
So talk to him, some email communication or something like that, just to get him, make sure he actually wants to do it. And then you got to figure out where you're going to do it.
Cleveland, Ohio. I'm going to fly to him. Cleveland, Ohio.
I know. Well, you're gonna have to fly up there.
Yeah. That's okay.
You can drive. That's a long ways.
No, that's true. Well, you know what? I'll go on the road. I'll give up the home court advantage. I'll go on the road to take on Mr. Troll Johnson. I'm coming for you. And I was going to say with my lawyer, but I don't know. Like you said, I don't know.
Right.
He's an impartial attorney.
Is Mr. Brooks, is he doing this pro bono?
Well, that's a good question. What's your hourly rate, Mr. Brooks? Fry. Mr. Fry.
Mr. Fry.
Pro bono,
Yeah,
that's-
Yeah, it's just being respectful.
Yeah.
it's quite okay. Obviously, I was going to do this pro bono. I just find it amusing. I do listen to the show daily, both this one and your bigger show.
Are you a trustworthy guy? Would you
Or
want
the
to go
main
with
show, I
us?
should say.
Would it be weird if he went with us?
We introduce him to everyone. This is our lawyer.
But he can't be our lawyer. He has
the
to be
lawyer.
the lawyer for the game.
Yes.
That's right.
That'd be
The
legit.
lawyer.
Yeah,
Yes,
the-
the lawyer for this competition.
Yes. Okay. So, do we
I
need
could
to?
possibly do that. But
Yeah.
Come on.
I think that's something we should consider,
That'd be legit.
especially if he's in a suit.
Yeah.
We show up
Yes.
with a guy in a suit,
And a briefcase.
And
Nothing needs to be in there, just a briefcase.
handcuffed to his hand. He handcuffs a briefcase to his hand, so no one can steal it.
Contract.
Yes. Okay.
I did hear Eddie make the Saul Goodman comment the other day, but I don't have an old school briefcase. I do have the leather sort of saddle briefcase. So
get you
I
one.
can bring that. It's modern. It's legit. It's
We
modern.
can find him a really old one. Okay. So is there any language, because there's a difference in like a competition or a lottery, or how do we need to approach this legally in order for this to be legit?
Oh yeah. Well, I was just pointing that out. I know that I think it was originally referred to as a bet, but when you think about the law as it refers to like betting, obviously that's a game of chance. So you don't want to say that because there's rules about gambling and you don't want to be in violation of that. But that's not what you're doing. This is a skills-based competition.
Love that.
I presume you're a very highly skilled pickleball player, and maybe not the other guy, but we'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
And but it's going to be based on his skill or lack thereof, and yours or lack thereof, and we'll see how it goes.
I'd say the risk is his life once I kill him on the court.
Whoa,
A game of chance.
on the court.
On the court, getting into a game with me, and the chance is he's going to be humiliated, even though he's a 4-year D1 athlete. That kind of sucks. I didn't know that one.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, okay, so
Do you know what sport he played?
wrestling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
What's he going to do?
You
Wrestle,
don't have to touch him.
wrestle the pickleball to the ground? What's he going to hold it down? Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for giving us this advice. Secondly, I'm going to get in contact with old feller, and we will see how comfortable he is with the communication with our mutually agreed upon attorney, and then the game of skill for the
Skills-based competition.
absolutely for the cash should and shall take place therefore on.
Okay, contract.
Yeah.
Are you writing this down?
For our thou.
Yes, 4 score.
I've already got that noted. You want to have a time limit. If he backs down, you need to have him, by a certain
Gosh,
date.
he's good.
Yeah.
What if the time is again 4 score in 7 years?
7 minutes, man.
Okay, good point. Okay, hey, thank you, Brooks. We really appreciate it, and we will be in touch really soon. I'm going to get his information, and hopefully we can get this thing going. Good luck, everybody. We'll be back before the games start, but good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
I guess if you're betting all on the playing games, good luck. Then don't. Don't put all your money in the playing games, you know?
The first 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, guys. Eddie, blow the whistle. We're out of here.
Here we go. It's coming.
Thank you, guys. See you later on.